I'm sure many of you are already tired of hearing about the 2016 presidential election, and it's only July of 2015. I understand it, I get it, but it's only going to get worse for you from here. It's just the political realities of the day. You just have to deal with it and bear with it. Now, I understand that a lot of you probably look at this 2016 presidential election and you see a Democratic side of the fence where most of the candidates really don't give you much in the way of inspiration or hope, and you look at a GOP side of the fence that scares the ever loving daylights out of you. And I understand that on both accounts. So as a result, many of you look to a Hillary Clinton and you may be envisioning yourself supporting her, endorsing her, voting for her come 2016. And I understand it and I get it because she has a lot that she brings to the table as a candidate. And really, frankly, at this particular point in time, regardless of side of the fence, GOP or Democrat, Hillary Clinton is the best of the pure mainstream candidates and is the most likely electable of said candidates. Why is that? Well, first you go off of name familiarity. Nobody on that Democratic side is going to match up to Hillary Clinton in terms of name recognition. And on the GOP side, you might look at Donald Trump. That might be the closest thing that you have. And I don't think that he has the name recognition of Hillary Clinton, especially from a political standpoint. You look at her again at this particular point in time, she may feel to you like she is the most credible candidate, and in particular, for many people, looking at what happened with the election of Barack Obama in 2008, the re-election of 2012, representing a seismic shift in the American political system and representing the changing demographics of this country, you look at Hillary Clinton as perhaps your best chance to have a female president, your most credible female candidate that you feel by far that you're going to have and that you've ever had, and you may have for quite some time. You also look at Hillary Clinton, too, that has a loose and not too firm affiliation with the Obama administration. Yes, even going back to her time serving under Obama as Secretary of State, until you got to the Benghazi stuff, Hillary Clinton was a pretty popular Secretary of State, but she wasn't there as a senator having to cast key votes to pass legislation like Obamacare, what have you. But she can, as you go through the last year and a half or so of the Obama administration, if things continue to shift a little bit and start to look better for him in terms of his legacy long term, it's something that she can connect herself to. But if things continue to go in the other direction in a bad way, she could split herself off and say, I was running against him in 2008, da 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 da. But she can benefit still from the infrastructure of the Obama ground game. This is something that the GOP just couldn't contend with in 2008, 2012. They were blindsided by it, they were steamrolled by it, and they're still going to be blindsided and steamrolled by in 2016. And being on that side of the fence, that infrastructure has to go to someone. You would assume it would go to the Democratic candidate, in this case, Hillary Clinton. You also look at it too, you look at a Hillary Clinton that can appeal to those shifting demographics in the American electorate, like a Barack Obama did. Hillary Clinton's going to do just as well with the black voters and probably turn them out at just about the same amount of number as Barack Obama. She's going to do relatively well with the Hispanic vote, similar to how a Barack Obama did, and probably turn them out in similar numbers. She may do even better with the female vote. So there's a lot of appeal there. She wouldn't have to win that much of the white male vote in order to win a primary or, in particular, a general election. And frankly, she could probably appeal to white working men voters more than a Barack Obama could. So with that, she can take an electoral map that already leans Democrat, even in the battleground states, and put even more states into play, states like Missouri and Indiana, maybe flip back North Carolina blue again in 2016, maybe put a Georgia more into play. You know, who knows, even like states like West Virginia that have long since left the Democratic Party on the national landscape, maybe state like in Arizona. The point being is she can appeal to those shifting demographics while being able to appeal to other segments as well, putting more states into play, putting the GOP more on the defensive, and making it that much harder for any GOP candidate to win in the national election in 2016. She's going to have not only that Obama ground game infrastructure, but she's going to have the Clinton political machine, the Clinton fundraising and money machine. She's going to have all the money and all the support she would ever need for any presidential campaign. And a lot of people are looking at her and they think back to the Clinton years of the 90s and they look back on them fondly. There's a bit of nostalgia there. And so many people view those as the good old days, or those were good times, and they will see Hillary Clinton, see the name, see that she was the first lady during that time, associate her with those times. So as a result, they will associate her with potentially bringing those times back again, starting in the beginning of 2017, and that could help carry her to the White House. But above all else, she has the one ace in the hole, the one wild card, the one X factor that nobody can contend with. On the primary circuit, she's got Bill Clinton. She'll have Bill Clinton advocating for her. She'll have Bill Clinton campaigning for her. And on a general election, who in the bluest of blue hells is any GOP candidate going to trot out there to advocate for them? Who? Jeb Bush is going to bring his brother on the campaign trail? Good luck with that. Nobody, and I emphasize again, nobody is going to be able to match up with the campaigner-in-chief Bill Clinton, because he will be able to tie Hillary to those years of the 90s. He may indeed be able to make the case for Hillary Clinton being president better than Hillary Clinton could, as he did at the 2012 Democratic National Convention, when frankly, he made a better case for Barack Obama's second term and his reelection than Barack Obama did himself. That is the ultimate ace in the hole, the ultimate wild card. And with the way Bill Clinton is viewed and the way that he is loved and approved by so many, if that side of the fence attacks him too much or goes after him too much, it could epically backfire, because Clinton's always had kind of a Teflon way about him, and it only gets more Teflon as time goes along. It's just a built-in advantage. All this other stuff may not matter, because she has Bill Clinton. In a lot of ways, people are going to be looking at it as potentially a way to get Bill Clinton back in the White House in the Oval Office for 4 or 8 more years. And I understand it again, and I get it. And a lot of this makes sense. And if you're handicapping the race right now, frankly, I think you're a fool to not think that Hillary Clinton would not only go on to become the Democratic nominee, but ultimately win the White House by potentially a bigger electoral college margin than Obama did even in 2008 or let alone 2012. A lot of things could change. A lot of things can come into play, obviously. But at this particular point in time, if you're handicapping the race, if you don't bet on Hillary, that's the house money. That's where it's at. You're insane if you think otherwise. But to me, I'm here to tell you why you should oppose Hillary Clinton and why you shouldn't support Hillary Clinton in her race to the White House in 2016. And in particular, this goes to those that identify themselves as American liberals and those that are registered Democrats that might be entertaining the thought. I just don't see how you could support her, or frankly, why you would support her. One of the big things for Democrats, for liberals, is the belief that the rich are too rich and that the middle class and the lower class are getting the short end of the stick. They're getting screwed. And when you look at this, one of the perfect representations of the anti-union ways of the GOP, of the anti-union ways of big business, the anti-middle and lower class ways of big business is Walmart. And when you look at Walmart as a representation of that, Hillary Clinton is a representation of that. She worked for Rose Law Firm for years that defended Walmart in many high-profile court cases. She also served on their executive board of directors, I believe, from 1986 to 1992, all the while when she was First Lady of Arkansas. Talk about conflict of interest there. So let me get this straight. You expect her to be anti-Walmart when she made a shit ton of her money over the years and a shit ton of her name over the years off of her work supporting and defending Walmart. And don't give me that change from within crap, because she really, frankly, didn't help change that much. And most certainly didn't stand up when she needed to stand up the most. For many of you, again, from the pro-union segment, why in the hell would you support a Hillary Clinton that has been such a big proponent and advocate of free trade all of these years? For those of you that are union members, union supporters, former union members that lost their jobs through the 90s and 2000s to those jobs being shipped overseas to third world countries where they could pay people 50 cents an hour and no benefits to do what you were doing to try and raise your family. Well, those came as the result in some ways of free trade agreements. As Ross Perot said in 92, when talking about NAFTA, free trade, all that is you're going to hear the giant sucking sounds of jobs going from the U.S. to Mexico. They're going to leave us. And we never get in return what we should. It never equals out. It always becomes unfair free trade. It's like it's free trade for the others. It's fuck us trade for the U.S. Why would you sit there and support a Hillary Clinton that has supported NAFTA and many other free trade agreements over the years that you know damn good and well from your union background and your union standpoint blows in the face of being pro-American and pro-American worker? And furthermore, if you are a liberal or especially even just a registered Democrat, why in the hell would you want to support somebody that frankly is more liberal Republican than she is moderate Democrat? You look at her in a lot of ways, she exhibits Republican ways. She's been very pro-big business, very pro-Wall Street. But more than that, when you look at her voting record and her overall beliefs during her time as a senator and just throughout the years, this is somebody that supported the Patriot Act. For so many people that in particular would identify themselves as American liberals, that sit there and believe in the defense of the Constitution, believe in civil liberties, oppose the Patriot Act, why in the hell would you support somebody that has voted for the Patriot Act, supported it again once for reauthorization before deciding, hey, now I'm against the shit? This is a Patriot Act that, in many ways circumvents the Constitution, violates individuals' constitutional rights, the First Amendment, and other amendments as well. Hillary Clinton supported that. She helped George Bush and his cronies pound this through in 2001, 2002. She voted to give Bush the authorization to go to the Iraq War. For a lot of you that hated Bush because of Afghanistan and in particular Iraq, well, what the hell does that make Hillary Clinton? She give him the authorization to go do that. For many years, in my opinion, she's been on the wrong side of the Cuba embargo, talking about how we shouldn't have that relationship with them, how it's a bad thing to lift that embargo. Now all of a sudden it was Castro's best friend and it's time for it to go. But she has no problem with us having a relationship with China, and all these other countries like the Vietnams of the world and so on and so forth that commit all types of human rights violations, including this country as well. She's somebody that's been very pro-Israel all throughout, never really giving the Palestinians, Hamas, any type of benefit of the doubt, always masking and overlooking anything Israel might have ever done, just sit there and make the problem worse, or anything they do that frankly half the time starts this shit. That sounds like a Republican to me. Anything with the Cuba embargo. And then you look at TARP. What can you say about the bailouts? So many people will try to tie the bailouts to the Obama administration. There were other bailouts done by the Obama administration, but ultimately TARP was a Bush thing. That was a Bush administration thing. That was a Republican principle, because that was a way to bail out these banks that had sit there and ripped people off and fucked people over for 2+ decades after years of deregulation and cooking the books and playing fucking games and doing all types of fucking sneaky-handed, grimy, greasy shit. Now the bank says we're fucking broke, we can't pay our bills, we're about to lose our ass, so instead of saying, hey, you know what, tough shit, you're out of luck, we sit there and bail them out. Not asking the taxpayers for that approval, not having the taxpayers get anything back for it. We just sat there and helped the banks out. We sat there and said, hey, Wall Street, hey, big banks, you've sat there and created this mess, so we're going to help bail you out of this mess so that way you can help create the mess scam again. And who was a big supporter of that? Hillary Clinton. Republican in so many ways. Why in the hell would any Democrat, or in particular liberal, in any good conscience support her? In particular, if you are a liberal, you would think that you wouldn't line up with Hillary Clinton on some really critically key, important social issues to you. While she's always been pro-choice consistently throughout her time, she's been, in my opinion, on the wrong side of marijuana legalization, only in recent years even coming around to legalizing medical marijuana, but still being opposed to flat out, at least decriminalization of marijuana. She's okay with cigarettes that kill people being legal. She's okay with alcohol, which kills people in many different capacities, being legal, but somehow buys into the bullshit, the propaganda, the narrative that marijuana is bad. Marijuana is terrible. It's the worst blight you can put on society and all this other crap. And the reason being is because she lacks courage and conviction in her beliefs and in her ways. She is a Clinton. Never forget that. And that means that she only feels the way that is best for her in the polls. And she is likely to flip-flop and change her position at a moment's fucking notice. People will talk about that with John Kerry or Mitt Romney. That was Clinton to the end of days. Talk about the ultimate, put your finger up and see which way the pulse is blowing, which way the wind is blowing, and which way the pulse is going, and where the direction is leading you. And then you creatively shift your position when you're smart enough to see that this is where the new direction is going to be. And then you look at gay marriage and her flip-flop there. For so many years, she believed that gay marriage was marriage was defined as one man and one woman. She didn't necessarily believe in a federal amendment, but she didn't believe in gay marriage. She sat there and took the chicken shit way out in terms of supporting civil unions, and for years talking about how marriage should be between one man and one woman. And this is somebody that got a law degree that should have been smart enough to know that banning gay marriage, because of the way marriage is currently constructed in this country, would be a violation of both the First and 14th Amendments, and to argue otherwise is fucking foolish, as 4 Supreme Court justices proved in their ridiculous dissension on that decision that basically made gay marriage legal throughout this country. Now all of a sudden, magically, Hillary Clinton is a gay marriage supporter and an advocate because she changed her position. You know, because she could see what freaking direction it was going, and she realized that she didn't want to get caught behind come 2016. This is not a person of conviction. This is a person that will sit there and shift based off of popular opinion, based off of the political climate. Is that the type of person that you want as your president? Especially if these type of social issues are so important to you. No, it shouldn't be. And frankly, when we look at Hillary Clinton, so many of you, just in general, in terms of the electorate, are tired of the same old crap. You feel like it doesn't even matter for some of you, Republican, Democrat, you feel it's all the same. The big lobbyists went out, big oil companies, big banks, Wall Street win. It's yay upper class, fuck you middle and lower class. The average working class individual takes it right up to keister. Well, how the hell is Hillary Clinton going to bring any change or representation of anything different? When you look at her political career from her time as a senator in New York to her campaign in 2008 and what will surely be upcoming in 2016, but just that period of time there from, let's say, 99, 2000 until about 2008, you look at the top 10 donors for her. They're all banks, Wall Street companies, and freaking law firms that defend Wall Street interests. You know, whether it be a Citigroup, Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan Chase, remember Lehman Brothers, Morgan Stanley, Time Warner. You know, so these are all big corporations, a media outlet mixed in there, but banks, investment firms. So all these big corporations and big banks and Wall Street and entities that defend Wall Street, like DLA Piper and Scott and Arps et al., they all donate to her. They've been historically the biggest donors to her campaigns throughout her career as a politician. And yet you expect her to sit there and take all of that money to turn around and stab these people in the back and do the right thing and do the things that don't benefit these interests. How fucking stupid can you be? She's not anything different. She is more of the same. And again, frankly, in a lot of ways, she is a freaking Republican in Democrats' clothing. She is a DINO. She is a Democrat in name only. And especially for you that associate yourself with being liberals, she is most certainly a Lino, a liberal in name only. She is like so many other Republicans, and frankly, like so many other Democrats, there really isn't that much of a freaking difference. She is already bought and paid for by big interests, just like Bill Clinton was in the 90s, and that's an inconvenient truth that many of you don't want to accept for whatever damn reason. If you want change, if you want to see big banks and Wall Street be held accountable for their bullshit, if you want the working class to get a decent living wage, if you want a lot of these changes, why in the hell would you vote and support an individual that represents so many of those bad ways and most certainly is going to protect those ways and interests going forward? It makes absolutely no sense. The bottom line is Hillary Clinton is pro-big business, she's pro-banks, she's pro-Wall Street, always has been, always will be. At many key important times, especially in the 2000s, during her time as a senator, whether it was the Patriot Act, the Iraq War Authorization, TARP, she was on the wrong sides of these key, critical, important issues. She's been on, for years, the wrong side of major social issues. Marijuana legalization, up until recently because it became convenient for her to do it because at least Obama had enough courage to do it first, talking about her views on gay marriage and how that is totally 180'd and flip-flopped. This isn't any great agent of change. This is just an agent of more of the same. And newsflash for many of you that sit there and look at her and you say, this is a way to get Bill Clinton back in the White House another 4 or 8 years. Well, at the end of the day, one, Hillary Clinton would be the president, not Bill Clinton, which is something that she's always aspired to be. Number two, we have revisionist history in terms of remembering Bill Clinton's presidency, and the fact is, in a lot of ways, he wasn't that great of a president from an economic standpoint. What happened was he happened to benefit from an explosion in the improvements in technology over the 8 years of his presidency, and that's a fact, which produced an ultimate aberration of incredibly low unemployment rates and incredibly low inflation. That's just not something that happens. Usually it's one or the other, and they have an inverse relationship. In this particular case, they were both down at historically low levels. It was all this other crap, and all the while forgetting some of the things that were done during the Clinton administration in terms of deregulations, in terms of free trade, in particular in terms of the subprime lending that created the freaking bubble that burst in the late 2000s. Why the hell would you want to put somebody in place that would help protect those interests that have created so many of these problems that we're still, frankly, trying to recover from? And that we're not going to recover from because we only kicked the bucket down the road. If you're a liberal, frankly, if you're supporting Hillary Clinton, you're insane. You got people like Bernie Sanders, who much more closely would associate with your beliefs, or even in Elizabeth Warren, especially from going after big money and the evil banks and Wall Street, what have you. And if you're somebody that believes in, protecting big business and protecting Wall Street, well, then you might as well just freaking vote for a Republican. And frankly, again, if you were a Democrat, why in the hell would you support Hillary Clinton when in a lot of ways, like I said before, she's effectively a Republican? She's not even a conservative Democrat. She's a liberal Republican. She's a DINO, a Democrat in name only. And it's that simple. So many of you may end up supporting her in 2016. That's your right. You do what you want. I don't know, frankly, if I'm going to support any of these candidates. I don't know if any of these candidates from the two major parties deserve any support. And based off of what I've seen, except for maybe 1 or 2 examples, that answer would be no. But I can tell you this much. Who I won't be supporting in 2016, and that's Hillary Clinton. Newsflash. A vote for Hillary is not a vote for Bill. And even if you think it is a vote for Bill, that doesn't automatically necessarily mean that everything would just be gravy again. This isn't the 90s anymore. It's a different time. It's a different reality. It's that simple. Liberals shouldn't be supporting her, and frankly, Democrats shouldn't be either. You want to know who really, frankly, should be supporting Hillary Clinton? Republicans. Because in many ways, she would represent the necessary appeal to changing demographics that the GOP is so desperately behind the times on. She would still protect big banks. She would still protect the Wall Street and other big money interests. She might have to change the tax rates a little bit, raise them just a little bit, but she'd find other ways to make sure that the big boys, the big money, the big lobbyists didn't get hurt too bad by it. And she'd make sure she deregulate other things to make sure you had opportunities to more than make that money up. She's a person that's going to be very hawkish, as she has been throughout her career, which is something that the Republican Party should absolutely love. She's pro-Israel. She's pro-bailing out the people that create the issues. And she's on the wrong side of a number of social issues. Sounds like the perfect GOP candidate in 2016 to me, not somebody that Democrats and liberals should be supporting to be the next president of the United States.